With Satisfactory Update 8 just around the corner and it's celebrating its 4th anniversary of early access, the game is barreling fast towards full release. So in this video, I will ask and answer the simple question: should you make time for Satisfactory? While the game is still in early access, and yes, this is another early access game review, Satisfactory has had consistent updates, polished passes, and gameplay features added over its 4 years of early access. And if I didn't know any better, the game feels pretty much complete as it is, even though Coffee Stain Studios continues to pump feature-rich updates and improvements to the game. In Satisfactory, you're a pioneer who has been tasked by Fixit, your employer, to exploit an alien planet and use its resources to contribute via a massive space elevator to Project Assembly. Fixit's motto is construct, automate, explore, and exploit. There's not much more known about your employer as there is no story to the game yet, and while some might find the lack of compelling story to be a downside, the game still has a clear goal and gives you a clear path to focus on throughout. The game is viewed from a first-person perspective, which makes it feel incredibly immersive, and the quality of the graphics can have you staring at a sunset or your factory as it satisfyingly hums away. This is what separates Satisfactory from other factory management games, such as Factorio or Dyson Sphere Program, giving a unique, cozy vibe to the genre. Another unique feature of the game is the world itself, as it's handcrafted and designed, rather than procedurally generated. While that might seem like another downside for, say, multiple playthroughs, believe me, the world is massive and contains multiple diverse biomes for exploration and exploitation. I've personally found that every time I restart my playthroughs, the game feels significantly different, especially if you select a new starting location, which is how the game primarily handles difficulty levels. Speaking of difficulty, the tutorial does do a fair bit of hand-holding at the start of the game, as the steep learning curve may be hard to overcome and challenging to grasp, especially for players who are new to the game or the genre in general. The game offers a lot of complexity in its systems, however you can invest as much time as you want in learning the game's intricate mechanics to progress, either just by playing it by ear or creating spreadsheets to optimize your factories. You start with a few basic tools, a small hub, and the ability to locate primitive resources such as iron and limestone. But as you progress, you'll unlock more advanced technology and build bigger and more complex structures, and be able to mine and exploit valuable resources such as plutonium and uranium. But it's not just about building and expanding your factory. You'll also need to explore the world to find these new resources, viable areas to build and expand, interesting things to research and improve your production, and of course, the occasional Easter egg. Satisfactory, as the name implies, is a very satisfying game, and it's easy to get lost in building your factory and exploring the world. As the most conflict you'll experience is the occasional and easily dispatchable beast roaming near a resource you want, or a pesky cliff you need to design your factory around. Unlike other games in the genre, the resources themselves are endless, so the beauty of the game comes from focusing on building and rebuilding your factories as you continue to optimize your production lines. As mentioned, you don't have to build the most optimized factory to progress, as the game doesn't really punish you for this. It will just mean a slower progress towards the game's end goal. You can end up spending a lot of time just perfectly arranging your buildings, color coding them, and lighting them up just right. While Satisfactory offers a lot of freedom in terms of building and exploration, some players may find the gameplay to be repetitive after a while. This is especially true for players who are working on the same project for an extended period of time, or if you find yourself expanding too fast and running out of power for your ever-growing industry, and thus having to go back and rework your power generation, or your factory grinds to a halt. But you don't have to do this by yourself either. Another aspect of the game that makes it stand out is its multiplayer. It's tons of fun to work together to build a massive factory, and there's also lots of room for creativity when playing with others, as you can split up the tasks and work on different parts of the factory in different parts of the map, and occasionally checking in on each other to see what you've done. Even though it officially supports and notes being limited to 4 players, you can adjust some behind-the-scenes settings to have more if your system can handle it, which brings me to the community support and mods. Despite still being in early access, Satisfactory has a large and helpful community, including a modding group that has been hard at work since day one, which means there are a ton of mods available that can enhance and extend your gameplay experience. Mods can add new machines, items, and even new game modes and mechanics, adding to the already high replayability factor of the game. However, before going wild with the mods, you may want to get a full playthrough first. First-person perspective gives a fresh feel compared to other games in the genre, and the graphics are amazing, especially at the highest settings. However, the game is still being optimized, given it being in early access. As such, Satisfactory can be demanding on hardware, and some players may experience performance issues, especially on older or less powerful computers later on in the game with large, ever-expanding factories. This can result in lag, stuttering, or even crashes, which can be frustrating for players unless they turn down settings or limit their factory sizes. For me, nearing endgame, it can take up to 5 to 10 seconds every autosave, and if flying at high speeds over a large factory, my frame rate can drop to single digits. Despite this, I've had no problem pouring hundreds of hours into multiple playthroughs, and I find myself returning and starting over after every update or two, looking forward to what's new in the game and always being amazed. Otherwise, from a technical perspective, the game's design, graphics, UI, sound, and music are all excellent in my opinion. Overall, Satisfactory is an incredibly fun and addictive game. Its gameplay is relaxing but also engaging, and there's a lot of room for creativity and exploration. With its multiplayer and modding community, the game has a lot of replay value. So if you're a fan of building games, factory games, or just looking for something new to try, I highly suggest that you should make time for Satisfactory. Thank you for watching. If you like this kind of review, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, follow me on Twitch for playthroughs, and always make time for games.